Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is Aurelia Davis, the educator's educator, coming to you with some exciting news, or an exciting subject: lesson plans. And you probably say, lesson plans, really? That's not exciting, right? But you have to make them exciting. You have to make them exciting. If you haven't been with me before, my name is Aurelia Davis. I'm coming from Chicago, coming out of Chicago, and I'm a 30-year retired school teacher that basically taught Chicago public schools in elementary school. I taught elementary school, second and third grade. Loved it. I stayed there over 30 years. Loved it daily. Got up, experienced excitement when I got ready to do what I had to do because it's something that I've always loved and cherished for a long time. But coming to you, most schools are basically all schools have gotten back in session now. And we're just going to cover a topic: lesson plans. Lesson plans are a topic: why lesson planning is so important, why lesson plans are so important to drive instruction in your classroom. Well, first of all, you need to realize that lesson plans, and curriculum are guides. They're guides for you to know what to teach to a particular set of children at a particular age. And with the Common Core standards in place, they're basically stating now how by the time a child gets out of the third grade, they should know X, Y, and Z in the areas of reading, language arts, math, science, and so on, social studies. So these are things that the Common Core standards tell you, standards that basically should be taught at that third grade level, or fourth grade level, fifth grade level. So there's standards for all grades, because preparing children to go from second grade to third grade and third grade to fourth grade, there should be some things in place that that child should learn in order for them to go to the next level. Well, of course, that takes into you. That responsibility falls on you as an educator as to what you do in your classroom. I always say it, but back in the day, back in the day, it was, I forgot to put my mic on, let me do that. There was not a lot of technology in place. So we as educators in the 90s and 80s and so forth, we had a tendency of not necessarily being in competition with technology. That's what I'm trying to say. There was no, the technology was coming about, but it was not as advanced as it is now. So we didn't really have to compete with technology. We didn't really have to compete with technology. Our students came to us. We did different things. We did activities and whatever. They were on board and so on and so forth. Now you are competing with technology. You're competing with video games. You're competing with reels. You're competing with texting. You're competing with all of those things. And you have to bring forth your best effort as far as teaching a lesson, because the lessons have to be taught. I sort of get into, I'm very sort of, my mindset as far as teachers using a lot of technology in the classroom, which is okay. But that's still, that human touch is something that's needed for children in order for children to learn, in order for them to belong. The technology can be turned off. Technology, video games, and all those things can be turned off. And if it's not pumped up and plugged in, then it won't work. Then what does a child do? Then what the child do? You have to depend on that human resource, which is the educator that's in the classroom. When I think about lessons and lessons that I did in the back, like I said, we've been saying all the time, you have, as far as being a good educator, you have to be able to think on your feet. Think on your feet and be able to change gears real quick, fast, and in a hurry. You also need to realize that the first time you do a lesson, it's not necessarily going to go over the way you thought. In other words, you do a lesson and then you turn around and do an assessment for that particular lesson, and not one child has gotten exactly what you taught. It happens over and over again. Their little minds are all over the place, all over the place. A lot of times they're thinking about lunch. But in the meantime, and to keep that from happening, I would suggest that you have lessons that have snap, crackle, pop. I'll say that again. Lessons that contain snap, crackle, and pop. And I use that old term from the Rice Krispies commercial because it sort of explains things that have a lot of action, have a lot of action. So let me take one at a time, one word at a time. Snap. That means basically getting those children's attention the first time you get ready to introduce a lesson. And that can happen in all kinds of ways. You can have a balloon and blow it up and let it go to the ceiling, or take a balloon or a ball and toss it to children. All kinds of things have snap. That's being basically bringing them back to attention, to pay attention to you as the person that's presenting that particular lesson. The crackle, there needs to be excitement right within the lesson itself to keep the children interested. You involve them in the lesson. You don't stand there, okay, we're going to learn about art. Art is a word that's spelled A-R. No, we can't do that. That's not going to work. That doesn't even work with babies nowadays. You have to be animated. You have to be excited. You have to be just ready to go overboard with what you're trying to teach. And then the last word is pop. Did they get it? Did they get it? Did they get what you were trying to teach? Sometimes they won't go over it immediately, but you always have that next day or the next hour, or at the end of the day, to bring them back to remembrance as to what you taught. So I said eventually what ended up happening with me, I produced lessons that had snap, crackle, and pop. And that could be something that's in, some words that's on your bulletin board, and letting the children know that these lessons are going to have snap, crackle, and pop. And in the meantime, they start to look for that because they never know what you're going to do. Toward the end of my teaching career, what I found that I needed also to do was to have some props in my classroom. Some props. I had a stuffed animal, a ball, or something like that, because as my children worked on different activities and they worked in groups and everything, there always had to be something back to get them back in to pay attention to me. So I would have all kinds of props. So at this particular time, build up a prop bucket or a prop container with things in it that will basically give your children that particular snap to bring them back to what you want them to learn. And at the same time, that can work with any grade. Like I'm saying now, children love animation. There has to be some kind of animation. If you can't juggle balls or tell a joke, do whatever you need to do in order to get that lesson across, and so forth. I remember taking quite a few lessons that I had taught over the years and building like a box. And so I had what was called like an arsenal of lessons that I felt went real well, lessons that I love teaching, lessons that I just, and it would teach over and over again. But at the same time, if they were good lessons for that group that I had last year, I may have to change it or tweak it a little bit for the group that I had sitting in front of me. Children are coming to you more mature now than they've ever been before. So you have to be ready for those hard questions. You have to be ready to involve them in discussions and so on and so forth. And sometimes even the discussions will have with the children, before you know it, the lesson has been taught, because they're thinking out of the box, So I'm saying all of that to say this. First of all, lessons and curriculums are guides. And you take that guide and turn it into whatever you need to turn it into in order for your students to be taught. And at the same time, keep an arsenal of lessons that you feel have worked before, have been very, very successful. Keep that arsenal box of lessons that, and a list of lessons that you have put down on index cards or whatever. And then at the same time, keep a box of props that you keep in your classroom. It can be an old hat. It can be a stuffed animal. It can be a ball that a beach ball that you toss to the children. All kinds of props are needed nowadays because these children have to be entertained. That's the only way you can teach them nowadays in the 2000s. And the millennial children, they have to be entertained. And let's not even talk about the pandemic babies that are coming, that are standing up at the age of 5 months. I have one of those. So in the meantime, we're going to get a little bit more into this at another time. I'm going to be bringing to you some information about how you can get that snap, crackle, and pop in your lessons. I hope you'll be start to engage yourself with me. My name is Aurelia Davis, the Educator's Educator. If you have something to share, or would like to give me some information on how you do these things, or if you need help, I'm the one. Bring it to me. I can help you add that snap, crackle, and pop to your lesson plan. I would love to do that and help you out. So leave a post at the bottom. Go to my website, aureliadavis.com, and I would just love to get back to you and keep it moving. Let's keep teaching. Children need us. Bye-bye.